If God did not intervene, I would probably live in Pennsylvania right now with Grace and my son, and he would probably have to visit on the weekends, or we would be in a heated custody battle.
We would be in court right now. We'll be fighting over custody.
At their lowest moments, Mary and Rashad couldn't have imagined that their story was just getting started, that the same circumstances that nearly destroyed them would become the foundation for something beautiful. Mary has just finished serving a 3-day prison sentence, a rock-bottom moment that felt like the end of everything. The truth is, sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom for us to realize God has been waiting for us all along. If you haven't watched or listened to part 1 of Mary and Rashad's story, I encourage you to go back and listen to that first. Their journey of transformation is one continuous thread, and every piece of their story matters. Sometimes we can only see how all the pieces fit together when we look back from where we are now. I'm Alio Garcia Pablo, and you're listening to Making Changes from INC Media Audio, a podcast about the changes we go through and the life lessons we learn along the way, but always with God by our side. So now you meet Brother Mike. What was that first Bible study like?
I was a little apprehensive. I'm not gonna lie. I brought a notebook, and I didn't bring my Bible, but I brought my notebook. And when he was like, "We're gonna pray," and the way you pray in the Catholic Church is not the same.
Yes.
So
it's repetitious prayer.
Yeah, he just got up and he was like, "Father God," and I was like, I went to make the sign of the cross, and he's like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, Sister Mary, like we don't do the sign."
Do the cross.
And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "All right." So I waited, and he prayed, and I heard his prayer, which is not like any other prayer I've ever heard in my entire life, ever.
Which was what? What was his prayer?
It was a prayer from his heart for my Bible study, for God to enlighten my mind and my heart, and that I could receive the truth. And I've never had a prayer like that in my entire life.
What'd that feel like?
Strange. It felt strange because I was like, I can't believe this man right here has this many feelings.
And he just met you.
And he just met me. And I just saw all his feelings about God.
Wow.
About how he wants me to join it. And he displayed his feelings. My dad never cried in front of us, never got emotional, never, "I love you." I don't think I can recall a single time my dad ever told me that.
Yeah.
So to see this man
care for your soul.
Yeah, it was different. It wasn't just some man in the pulpit telling me a story about something a priest went through in the priesthood. It was like an intentional prayer. The prayer had intentions.
So from your experiences in other churches, a Catholic church, would you say that you just didn't know this existed?
I did not know this existed. It was always say 20 Hail Marys and 5 Our Fathers, and you're like, okay.
So now she's doing Bible studies. So by this time, you're done with your Bible studies, and you're just awaiting baptism.
Yep. Yeah.
And so she's doing Bible studies, and so you meet Brother Mike. Tell me about the first time you go into a worship service.
Oh, well, in Catholicism, you sit wherever you please.
Right.
You can sit in the back, which is what I always did. I always tried to sit in the back. But this one, you go in and they have the men on the left and the women on the right, which was off-putting to me because I'm like, why can't I sit near my husband, But we're not there to sit near our husbands. We're not there to chit-chat and grab his hand and hold him and snuggle him because God's words are really making us feel good. That's not why we're there. But in Catholicism, they're there. You're just there. So there, when I got there, it was kind of off-putting, but I did it. I sat, with my daughter on the women's side, and it was different. And then hearing the opening prayer, different.
You walk in and there's no
There's
idols.
nothing.
What were you thinking?
There's
statues.
not a single statue. There's not a single rosary bead. There's nothing in sight, which was kind of like, what is this? Because I'm so used to the huge pictures of the Stations of the Cross, of Jesus being beat, and he's being beat in every single picture, and you're waiting to see the Jesus picture, and you're like,
Yeah, there's none.
there's no bloody Jesus picture here. Odd, And then the worship service, and it's not his opinion. He's not like, oh, well, I went down here, and my brother did this, and this is how we correlate with 1 Peter 12 or whatever. It's just, it was straight to the point. It was straight from the Bible. Read literally from many different Bibles, opened up and quoted directly from the verse. It wasn't like, oh, I think I know it off the top of my head. It wasn't like, let me give you my interpretation of what this means. It was just strictly word for word, God's word.
And it's the same lesson throughout the world.
It's the same. Awesome. I love that I can, because I know some of the brethren in the Philippines, we talk, you know, so if I have a question or we want to chat about it, we can just message each other. It'll be the same lesson.
No other church does that.
I love it.
So now, you know, you meet Brother Mike, you go to worship service, but at which point did you realize I'm willing to do the same commitment that Rashad did?
By the third Bible study lesson, I only remember it was number 3 because I was like, there's 28, like, that's a lot. Yeah. And then I was like, I knew I was only on number 3. I still had a lot to go. But by number 3, something resonated.
Stories like Mary and Rashad's are exactly why Making Changes exists. To share real moments, real changes, not just the highlight reel. So if you're finding value in these honest conversations about change, growth, and faith, make sure you're subscribed to Making Changes on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. New episodes drop every week, and each one is designed to meet you wherever you are in your own journey. Now, back to Mary and Rashad. What was it about the third lesson?
I don't know what it was about the third lesson. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it was. But by the third lesson, I said, let's get this going. It was just things I've never heard from the Bible before being told to me. So I was like, let's make sure we get all these done. I want to make sure I get everything. I took notes. I still have my journal from that day so I could go back, like, is that what he said? It is what he said. But by that time, I was ready to commit. I'm not sure why. I don't think it was me. I don't think it was me. I think God's been calling me for a long time. A long time.
You just wouldn't open the door.
I was ignoring him. I was ignoring him for my dad, and I was ignoring him for my siblings, and I was ignoring him because my mom. He made these people, but he didn't make these people who they are. Their experiences in life made them who they are, and I can't let their experiences make me who I am. So I'm glad that he finally was like, get it together.
Do you think you kept choosing pain because it's all you knew?
It's all I knew. I was so scared all the time growing up. I used to hide under my bed. Just to be under the bed. Just to feel secure. And Rashad will attest to this. I will sleep with a heavy pillow on top of me sometimes to feel secure.
Wow.
Just to feel embraced, I guess. Because my parents weren't embracing. They didn't hug me. They didn't kiss me. They didn't tell me they loved me. They weren't nice to me. They were parents. You know? And I never got to see the emotional side of my parents or, you know, I wasn't allowed to talk about my home. I wasn't allowed to talk about our family to anybody. So
everything that you're now experiencing in the church, slowly but surely, the intentional prayer of the minister. And what about the brethren? You know, here you are. Okay,
that's my favorite part.
Okay, let's get to that. And also,
girl, that's my favorite part.
I want to find out, like, you're a black man, you're a white woman. Yeah. You go into this church filled with Filipino faces.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
Well, you know, we went to the beach event.
We went to the beach event first. They had this because I was like, let me test something, test the water. So Rashad's like, we're having this kite flying event. Oh my gosh, I wasn't baptized yet. Don't judge me.
So by now you're like totally in all the church activities. You're all in.
He's in it.
You're like our flight kite, our kite flying event.
Yeah, we could bring Grace.
Yeah,
Mary can see some of the sisters and the brothers. See everybody. And know that this is not weird.
We met. I think it was Sister Daisy. Wasn't it Sister Daisy? I met Sister Daisy, and she's like my best friend in the church now. She's wonderful. She's so sweet. Her and her husband, Brother Art. Brother Art is like a lighthouse in the world of God. He's like the brightest light. I can see his light from across the street. But, you know, we were at this beach event, and everybody was just so nice and so comforting. And until our kite hit somebody.
Oh, no.
But by accident. But we had permission to be in the spot that we were in. And our kite hit somebody, and this officer of the beach, this older gentleman came over and he was like, you guys have to stop flying your kite now because you hit somebody. And we're like, well, I was like, well, who did we hit? Like, let me go apologize to these people. I want to make sure they're not hurt. He's like, oh, I can't tell you that. I'm like, why not? I was like, if you hit somebody with your kite, wouldn't you want to apologize? He's like, no. Why are you being so combative? And I'm like, sir, like, I just want to know who. He's like, well, you all have to leave. I said, why does no one? Everybody else is playing volleyball. They're flying kites. They're wiffle balling. But you're asking the brown people to leave. And I was the only white girl there. So I was like, let me use my voice a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And
everybody was so nice. The brother was so nice to me. I felt like they were just being discriminatory towards the brown people. Yeah. And that was my first experience with the church.
Defending the church.
That was their first experience with me, or should I say. I was in the world.
Other than the kite flying incident, you grew up lacking feeling love. Mm-hmm. And now you find a new church family. And what kind of void does that fill? And
the voids. Mm-hmm. I have 5 siblings. I've never felt bonded to any of them. Mm-hmm. So when I came to the church and everyone's like, oh, hi, Sister Mary, Sister Mary, Sister Mary. I'm like, oh, they call me Sister Mary here. Like, and I'm ate to the little girls, you know. I'm ate to the little girls and the little boys. And everyone's, oh, you're so tall, auntie, you're so beautiful, you're so nice, you're so pleasant, you're so this, tell me your story. Yeah. You know, they all wanted to know about me. And they still all want to know about me. And they still all want to hang out with me, even though they know my crazy life and my crazy story. Yeah. They just appreciate my story and how I got to be in the church. Yeah. And now we're all brethren and brothers and sisters. So, we could depend on one another. So
fast forward to your baptism day. I know, Rashad, you've been baptized before because you've been to so many churches. Mm-hmm. Who got baptized first? You first? Okay. Yeah. But let's go back to when you said the minister, Brother Alex, said, look, you can't keep living together before you get baptized. So how did we fix that? How did we?
It was, again, prayer, just like, let's see this relationship repaired and seeing God work and we were getting closer. Like we were becoming friends again.
Mending.
It was really nice. And, we went on, I had proposed to her previously,
I gave him his ring back.
And then, I was just like.
This is before the church.
Yeah. And it was just, and what she spoke about, that grudge, and, that grudge was very alive. And I was trying to fight this grudge. And I'm like, I'm listening to gospel music. I'm doing all the right things. I'm paying the bills. I'm taking care of the kids. I'm doing what I got to do. She's not forgiving me. This is not working. And I don't know if I can do this. Yeah. I know what I did was wrong. And I'm like, I got to, figure something out. But now that I'm trying to do right, she doesn't want to combine with me. Like, what do you do in that situation? And definitely don't make any excuses or justify anything that, we all do wrong things. But one thing is that forgiveness that God gives, because in my mind at that time when I was talking to Brother Alex, I'm like, Dad, God forgave me for a lot of things. And he still loves me. Should I have this expectation for the person I'm with? That's kind of hard, no? Like, they got to be like God. Yeah. I can't expect her to be God, but I know that we're supposed to try to be like him. And I'm like, if she's not willing to forgive me and forget, just like God throws all of our sins in the sea of forgetfulness, then I do have to move on.
Marriage is full of those moments where you're asking yourself, should I push this or just let it go? There's a faith and family blog that really digs into this idea. It's called Marriage, Knowing When to Give and When to Take. It talks about finding better ways to communicate, picking your battles, and learning how to compromise. Not because your spouse earned it, but because you love them and you see them as a blessing from God. If this sounds like a topic that could help you right now in your marriage, check out the blog on incmedia.org. It's called Marriage, Knowing When to Give and When to Take. Or look for the link on our show notes.
But it just was the total opposite, and we had a conversation. She was like, I'm letting go of my resentment for you, and it was one of those arguments where she had to come back like, you know what, I'm being a little too aggressive, which I got to apologize and let this go. If we're going to give each other a chance, we had that chance. The ring came back out and proposed
In Punta Cana.
in Dominican Republic. You know, it was my birthday, and my niece shares the same birthday, so all our family was there, and it was just a great.
That's nice.
And I planned it right before my baptism. I was like, you know, we're gonna get married. We're gonna do this thing right. I've done this before. It's really not about the wedding. It's really about, you know, doing what God put together, and so we can be okay, and our kids and our family and everybody that's seen us fall. See us get back up, and it was a great experience altogether.
So you got married before your baptism.
Yeah.
Yep. January 8th, we got married, in January 30th.
I think 30th I got baptized.
You really did time it well.
Yeah, it was just it was there. It was there, and it was
I
like
was in, what was it, October. I was in prison in October, so November I started Bible study, December. So like 2 months of God's word. He was heavy on the word, you know. He put it in there. So
Your heart was ready.
I was ready.
How did you know, though, Mary, that Rashad's been to so many churches? How did you know this phase wasn't going to be a phase? Like, this is it for him, considering
it wasn't about him at this point. It wasn't about me, and it was just about God at that point. It had nothing to do with Rashad. I didn't go because of Rashad, because for months I said, don't invite me. I'm never going. Stop talking to me. I was rude. I said, please don't ask me to go again. I know someone's probably asking you to ask me to go. Tell them no. You know, I was very rude about it. I said, tell whoever is, no, not coming. So I was very rude about it. So it wasn't about Rashad, and it wasn't about me.
But how did you know that this church was different? Like, was he exuding something different, that it wasn't just another church, that he was going to kind of in a few months' time, you know, move on to another church?
He was continually going. He didn't stop. He wasn't complaining about it. He wasn't complaining about the lesson. He wasn't complaining about what he was hearing. He wasn't hearing contradictions.
Unlike the other churches he'd been to.
Or he wasn't hearing a feel-good message. He wasn't feeling do-it-yourself. You know, it's the Bible he heard. That's what he heard.
So fast forward to your baptism day. Now you're married. Now you're taking another, you know, you made a change. You married the mother of your child. Now it's this commitment to God. How was your baptism in the Iglesia in Cristo different from the other two baptisms you had had?
Just more understanding, you know. It just wasn't going off of just the feelings of it all, you know. And then just knowing that you chose God, and then you backslid, and then you got dipped in water, and then you backslid, and then I got dipped in water again, you know. And I was just like, oh man, Rashad, what you doing? Like, you're gonna be with God, or you're not gonna be with God? And then making that commitment, and just knowing the truth of the word, and just hearing the clarity of the Bible, and like seeing Jesus say the words that he said of, you know, I'm here to point you to the Father. Like, he's not the Father. He's here to point us to the Father. But it was just like, why didn't I read it like that before? And I was just believing things, and just like, you know, just making up my own understanding, but having this understanding of being baptized and, you know, giving God that commitment, because he's so committed to me. And really having that heart of like, look, time is short. The sky can crack open any minute, and you see Jesus coming down to get his folks. Do you want to be a part of that crew? And I'm like, I want to be a part of that crew, but let me stop playing around, you know? And if I have to get persecuted by friends and families, if I look weird to people, forget it. You know, I'm going to look weird, because as I'm reading the Bible, and I'm seeing what Jesus and the disciples and the apostles went through, they all look super weird. Like, they
look
all
crazy.
look like this is what it is.
You know?
So when I'm out here and I'm thinking, I'm like, because for the longest, I'm like, how do I get these folks? How do I get my people into this church? Because they think it's a Filipino church, they think it's a Manala church, and all these things are like so distracting. But if we sit down and quiet all of the voices, open up the word, and see why the Church of Christ exists, and why it's here, and what all of the reasons why, and take a moment and listen and digest, you can see some truth. And it was just like that surrendering and letting go of what people think of me and what I'm doing. I had to let go of what Mary thought of me. All right, I know I'm not cheating no more. I know who I am in my heart, and I know what I'm doing in the behind the scenes when nobody can see me. That was the most important thing to my life. When I'm by myself, can I trust myself?
Oh.
Can I be with God? Because he's here. Why am I going to disrespect him because nobody else is around? Like, yeah, I don't want to cheat on Mary anymore. I don't want to hurt my son, or I don't want to hurt my daughter, or I don't want to hurt my mom and dad and things like that. But when I'm by myself, am I making a decision that's okay with him? Because why sin and hurt God? And he didn't do anything to me. Because he knows he doesn't want me to do that thing in the darkness. Don't do that. You by yourself. Just be with me. Why don't you read a scripture or something, or pray, or give somebody some food. Go help that homeless person out. Nobody can see you right now.
Yeah.
Are you truly this person? Because I was presenting myself, not just presenting myself, because that's who I wanted to be. Wanted to be good to the people. Wanted to be good to my loved ones and friends and strangers and everything like that. And just smiley Rashad. That's who I wanted to be and who I am.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, and it's like, but I don't want to fake it.
You are so focused on pleasing everyone else that you were forgetting
to please
that you cannot hide anything from the Father.
I hide nothing from him. And I'm like, if I could trust you and tell you all of this, God, and reading that verse in Peter, like, to cast your cares onto the Father, for he cares for you.
And you matter to him.
He wants me to do that. And I'm like, all right, here, change me.
You can have it.
And this baptism and this change, I just want it to stick, and it makes sense to me. And all the things that were said, I want everybody out there to experience the same thing, because you can say it till you're blue in the face, but you got to experience it yourself.
Who was the Rashad that came out of that baptismal water?
Just a vessel, a servant, somebody that, a conduit, something that, that God can use. I don't want to label myself anymore. And I know I had to go through some hard things. I had to, do all the things I used to do with my family. I can't do anymore. I know they're going to look at me differently. So my goal was like, all right, I don't want to be separated from them. I'm going to stay connected, but I'm not going to be one of those super religious. Oh no, I can't do. I did, just like I said. I want to be that light, but I don't want to push people away. I don't want to burn them with that light. I want to make sure that they can see, I was there too. And just because I'm here now, where I used to be was where you're at, I'm not over here looking at you like, you ain't in the Church of Christ. That's not right.
You're not judging.
I'm not judging them. I want to be able to, I came out of that water, willing and ready just to be used in the most unique way, struggles and good time, to make sure that, the word is coming out there. And the truth is. And it's not easy, but that's who I am now.
So that was your baptismal journey. What was yours? How many months later were you baptized?
I was baptized in May, so he was baptized in January. So a few months.
So what was your baptism day like?
Honestly, I'm an emotional person, and I used to be an emotional person growing up, but I did away with that early in life. So my baptismal day was the opposite. There was no fight that day.
Within?
Anywhere. In myself, anywhere. In my body, I was ready. I was ready to get in the pool, and I was ready to die, so to speak, be buried with Christ, and be reborn, God's daughter. So when I walked into that pool, you're supposed to, say amen at the end of the prayer, but I said my own little prayer before I went down into the waters.
Can I ask what that prayer was?
A part of the prayer was for my ear to be healed.
That's right.
I have a collapsed eardrum. I can't hear out of my ear. I have like maybe 5% on a good day. My ears would ring, or I would have infections in my ear because I'm supposed to have surgery. I just don't want anybody to cut into my head. So I don't want surgery. So that day I asked for God to heal my ear in whichever way he deemed necessary. Fully, halfway, partially, a little bit. Whatever he wanted for me, I got. That day I got it. I haven't had a problem with my ears since that day.
4 years ago.
4 years ago. And the other thing was just to die a child of God to my very last breath on my deathbed. And that's what I want. That's what I really desire that. And I never desired that before in my life. I didn't even know I desired that. I didn't even know. I didn't know I wanted that.
Who was the Mary that came out of the baptismal water that day?
Oh, man. That Mary is God's daughter. That Mary is 100% committed to God. That Mary gave up drinking. I gave up cursing. I gave up yelling. Well, it was a little bit, a little bit of the old, the old Mary, Mary, and then you check yourself.
It's a process.
Then you check yourself. You're like, why did you get baptized? Why did you do this? Did you do this to remain the same?
Yeah.
No, you don't do it to remain the same. So, I mean, I'm not argumentative, but I'm well educated on things I'd like to speak about. So, if you want to argue with me, that's cool.
Yeah,
but I'm no longer going to maybe call you a name in between our argument or a curse word, or, I'm no longer going to belittle you to make you feel like I'm smarter than you and I know what I'm talking about.
Would it be accurate to say that the Mary that came out of that baptismal water let go of the pain?
Yeah, that's gone. I forgave my dad.
Did you forgive yourself?
That took longer. And it makes me want to cry now because I could have passed all that on to my kids.
Yeah.
I could have passed the hitting and the abuse down to my children, but I think I had the parents I had to learn how not to be. And I think sometimes going through the hard trials and tribulations teach you who you don't want to be.
But so many marriages, I mean, we're in America, right? Yeah. 50% of marriages just end in divorce, and they just change spouses like changing furniture. What is it like to have a marriage where you're not just trying to please each other, you're not just trying to make each other happy, but there's someone else that is the priority of who you're trying to make happy? And again, going back to the exhaustion, right? Yeah. I think a lot of marriages end because I'm like, I did everything for you. We met halfway. But what is a true Christian marriage like? I know my question is really long, but what does that feel like in a marriage to know, like, it's not just us here that's trying to make this work?
I mean, it's the way it should be, where, if he created marriage, there's got to be a way for it to work. And accepting that everything is not going to be perfect, but in those imperfect times, we can call on the Father. And in the perfect times, we can call on the Father to be grateful and to know that the goal is the holy city. I think it boils down to just that, because I was reading Paul's passage about marriage, and he's like, look, I got permission from the Father to say this.
And he was never married.
Yeah, he was, when he said that he
chose to be single.
Yeah, but Paul was like, I wish y'all were like me.
Like, but no problem.
It's better to marry than to burn. I don't think everybody could, and he was just very real with it. And Paul was just saying, hey, and as you read that chapter, at the end of the chapter, he was like, husbands, it's hard I see you guys, you're concerned about pleasing your wife. Wives, you're concerned about pleasing your husband, but those that are virgins and single, your goal is to please God. And the ultimate message that I know Paul was trying to say is, like, even though you're married, don't forget your goal is to win this race. Because, Paul was always having those parables about running and, athletics and things of those natures. But know that your goal is to make it to heaven. And now that you're married, don't forget that goal, because that's going to shape everything that you do, which is loving each other and taking care of each other.
When you look at who you are before and how you used to resolve conflicts, to who you are today as a couple, what is the biggest change in your relationship?
The volume of the arguments. The volume.
Like loud or the amount?
Very loud. Oh, I mean, it could be both. It could be both. They were very loud arguments. Very long arguments. Very drawn out arguments.
How do you resolve conflicts and arguments now, like you had before the booklet night? You called a minister, but
this is my go-to.
Honestly, sometimes we might still be in a little tiff come worship day, and then we'll go to worship service, and then we feel different. We might feel different afterwards. We might hold hands, hug and like, hey, I'm sorry, But after the worship service, or sometimes I will just throw on an incmedia.org video and I'll listen to it, and it'll be like, why are you acting like this, Mary? It's like kind of disciplining yourself with God, like if you're in an argument, maybe you should listen to something about hope or marriage or, something like that to try to get through it. Like maybe your feelings are valid, but you don't have to feel them as intensely, or you don't have to feel it. You could just give it to God and forgive your spouse.
Like the saying, don't make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
That's true.
So when you think about, well, I want to know what are your prayers like together?
We have family prayer at 7 p.m. every day. Rashad's normally the leader of it. Sometimes we make the kids do it. Grace's prayers are so cute. Rashad prays individually for each one of us during the family prayer. Hayden needs help at work or help with his attitude in the house or, being a 19-year-old.
Yes.
Grace needs help with maybe listening to her parents, or maybe Rashad knows that I'm struggling with my parents, their deaths. Which is hard for me to consider sometimes, like Mother's Day just passed.
Yeah.
So that makes me cry just think about it now.
You lost your mom as well?
Both of them, yeah.
At the same, like how far?
A few
apart?
months.
Yeah.
Few
Same
months
here.
apart from each
Yeah.
other.
And the
Sorry to hear
situations weren't
that.
very ideal. We weren't the closest. So when my dad passed away, I thought I would have a chance with my mom to be like mother-daughter, because I really never got that. Because she always worked and he was home drunk, so I never really got to experience motherhood with my mom. And then she found out she had stage 4 colon cancer. And during a biopsy, they cut her and they put her in a coma.
Oh.
And the coma made it so she couldn't have surgery to correct the problem.
Cancer, yeah.
And she couldn't get the surgery, and she passed away like a month later. So I never really got to have like the mother-daughter relationship. So I go really hard in my relationship with my children because of it. I don't want them to have that feeling.
You mentioned earlier that, some may think, well, once you join the true church, all the problems go away just like that. So after having been baptized, what were some of the trials and challenges that came your way?
Well, after I was baptized, I found out that I had cervical cancer. It was just to the point where it was going to turn into full-blown cancer. So I was on vacation and, something happened to me. We went to the doctor and it turned out it was benign. It wasn't serious. But I feel like that was God telling me that I had to go to the doctor. So he said, let's just, check out some other things while you're here and make sure, everything's okay. So he did the test, he did a biopsy, and turns out that I had, it was almost going to be cervical cancer. So we had the surgery, and when I was on the table, I don't think my surgeon expected this, but he was like, okay, we're going to put you under. He had the mask in his hand. I said, oh, wait. I said, I just need to do one thing. I just need to say a small prayer. And he said, oh, okay, take as long as you need. I said, I don't need that much time. I said, dear God, I trust you completely. Do what you need to do. Amen. In Jesus' name. And that was it. And then they put the mask on me. And I'm all better. I trusted God fully on that day.
Whether or not,
whether it was
was
my time to go, or whether it was my time to stay, or whether something happened, or whatever happened.
What do you think is a difference now that obviously just because we're in the true church that challenges will still come, right? So how do you guys think that the way you deal with challenges, how has that changed versus before?
Well, it's the worship service. Everybody's encouraged to come a little early to have personal prayer in the seats, and I really value that time. Coming early and sitting down and just being completely raw with God. Like, look, this is what I'm going through. Like this is what it is. This is you hear the choir singing from time to time before the service starts, but I try to teach this to my son, like, because the kind of waits around until the service starts. But having that time because, what I've learned, even with trying to get Mary into the church, like I can't tell anybody anything to make them to do anything that I feel is beneficial for them. Even though I know it's the right thing, I got to let that part go of me. Like I want to inspire so much. I want to talk and get you in there. But let me just talk with the Father. And sitting there and laying it all out is so beneficial. Just like Mary said, sometimes we'll go to a worship service and we'll be okay after, because I feel like that personal prayer, he hears it, because he's sitting there waiting for you to come to service, to give you this encouragement and give you the guidance that you need and give you the power and strength you need to fight the temptations of the world and the issues that are going to come at you tomorrow or today or after church service. Those scriptures are real. Like, sometimes you sow seed on thorny ground, but if you really have good soil and if you really want to listen, and I'm intense, I want to hear everything that's being said.
We take notes.
Like I want to be with God for real. I don't want to miss this thing, and I don't want to mislead anybody, because I know I had that experience of trying all these churches out, and no one is going to take me seriously because I went to everywhere, and they see me fail everywhere.
Yeah.
But this one is not failing. So
it's not.
It's not, and it's just prayer. The short and long answer is
prayer.
That prayer life. It works. It's true.
Because you have to have access.
Yeah.
If you don't have access to God, he's not hearing you, because sin cuts us off from God. So you need Jesus. If you don't have Jesus, you can't.
He's going to mediate you.
Yeah, you can't. He's not going to hear you.
You mentioned earlier, Rashad, that when it came to Mary, you just, you weren't going to burn her with your light. You were just going to let God do his God thing. There are couples who may be on different spiritual wavelengths, right? And that's a challenge in regular life, right? Because, okay, you want to pray, but maybe the other one doesn't believe as much into the power of prayer. What would your advice be to couples who, she went from being in prison to who
LOS
she is now.
Officer, and
now
I
you're
will
LOS officer.
I will be a deaconess.
You're going to be a deaconess.
In August, I will be a deaconess. I need to be the closest to God that I can possibly be. And I think that's the highest I can go.
So how does that happen? Like, what would your advice be to couples who are struggling on a spiritual level? They're both members of the church. They do all of the things they're supposed to go to worship service. But on a deeper, intimate level with God, how did they get to where you guys are?
Pray together.
Yeah. I think that was the best advice Brother Alex gave to us, and even Brother Lowell, Brother Mike.
Family prayer or marital prayer.
All the administration, And we weren't in church when we got married, but, learning that all of the couples in the church, before they got married, they go through the marriage seminars.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is, having that devotional prayer. We can get away from it. Look, I guess my advice would be, I know your life's a bit busy. I know you have work, you have kids, you have things to do, you got bills to pay. Sometimes you're not getting paid enough. The tariffs is out here. We gotta, we gotta do.
That's another podcast.
There's so many, there's so many
that's
different things going on, and your life can be so like this.
Fast.
And a lot of times you forget each other, But if you're in prayer, and I owe this to God, and when I was praying one morning, I could feel like, because I could see Mary kind of just off in her own world. And I came home one day, and last week I said, listen, I want to love you better. I want to give you some more attention. I think I could feel that we need a rejuvenation. And I want to just tell you how I feel. I want us to always have that spark, but I know it has to come in a pure sense from God. So it's just really being honest with your feelings. I don't know what everybody's issues are, but that devotional prayer, knowing that that's there, and
making
if you can,
the time,
incorporate that thing. Pray.
And if you're finding yourself, like, maybe when I first started going to church, I would leave immediately right after. I'd go in, do my thing, leave. I said, why do you feel this way? Why do you want to leave? Why don't you want to?
Why are you in a rush to leave?
Why am I in a rush? So I said, gotta do something about that. So I took an LOS office. I still sort of felt that way, but I kept going. I said, okay, that feeling's gone. I said, I feel like I can do more. I took another LOS office. So now I'm an LOS secretary. So, I sign in the baptismal candidates. And I said, okay, all right, I feel God more. I feel it more. I feel my bind with, I feel like the closer we get to God, The less time we have for nonsense.
Ooh, say that again for the people in the back.
The more time we give to God, the less time we have for nonsense. So now I'm going to take all of my nonsense out and replace it with being a deaconess. So I'll have to fill all my nonsense time with deaconess things. Maybe hitting up the brethren like, hey, church this weekend, activity this weekend. Let's make sure you come to the Bible study. So I don't have the frivolous activities, the nothingness. You know, the void is filled.
Yes.
I'm not looking to fill the void because it's already filled.
You know, for those of us who are born and raised in the church, my
You were
dad's a
born?
minister. Yes, my dad's a minister. So I grew up as a PK. But, you know, what I love about interviewing people and, you know, telling stories like yours is it really is a reset for us who, you know, life in the church, life in service to God, it's all we've known. And sometimes, sadly, we're human, right? Sometimes it's easy to take it for granted because we didn't experience what you guys may have experienced. How can we make sure that we collectively don't take this faith, this membership of ours for granted? Because with how busy and crazy life is, that's easy to.
You just have to take a look at the world.
So true.
Look at the world outside the church. Look how confused everybody is. Look how sad everybody is. Look how selfish everybody can be.
You can understand why God didn't want Adam and Eve to eat of that tree. I see everybody arguing right now, like, and I'm not online, but I come home, Mary is watching something with somebody's at some college, and they're talking about you should be
Charlie Kirk, I watched
supportive
Charlie
of this, and I sit back and I'm like, dang, I see why you didn't want them to eat that fruit, because knowing all this stuff is detrimental to the human race. Like, we don't know what to, and that's why the work of propagation is. It's you got to develop a callus for it. Like, you can't give up because it's hard. And I said this in, you know, before. I understand the burden that's on, our leadership, brother Eduardo and, the helpers. Like, this is a world that we have to fight because the fruit has been bitten. And we know the knowledge of good and evil right now. And people are trying to figure it out on their own. And they think they know everything because they have their phone and they can Google it, or they have somebody, a podcast, or everybody's getting all of this great information from the world, and worldly knowledge is
And
there.
so many people are afraid of joining churches because they're afraid of losing their freedom. They're afraid of losing their identity. They're afraid of being told what to do. And, they want to have the choice to do me, to do what I want to do, and be able to take care of me on my own terms. Talk about do you have less freedom now that you got to go twice a week? Now, like your life is regimented, your life is...
No. No, we don't have any less freedom than we had before. We can wear clothes we like. We can watch TV shows we like. We can go to the ball game. It's not like you just can't do things against getting you into heaven. Why would you want to? Why would you want to bring debauchery to heaven? Why would you want to bring sexually immoral sins to heaven? Why would you want to bring gluttony there? If you don't want to bring that to heaven, you have to check yourself here. You have to get rid of it here. But once the change doesn't happen, how can he forgive you? You have to do the change part. And God's commands are not burdensome. They're for your benefit. They're to help you, to keep you healthy, to keep you strong, to keep you walking in the faith, to keep you on the road to heaven. There's only one way to get there.
To know that you made a decision to be with God and to live that life, that's what is going to dictate what happens with you. If you really choose to be with God, be with God. I was there before. I remember I want to be with God, but I also like this thing that the world is offering too. On Thursday night, they got this thing going.
Yeah.
But it's just, it comes down to commitment and decision.
Yes.
If that's really what you want, then that's what it's going to be.
God's a full-time commitment.
Yeah.
You mentioned parenting your teenager. You have 2 kids. Now being in the church, how do you think that has changed the way you parent?
Well, we would have threatened to kick my son out a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
He's a 19-year-old boy,
19-year-old American.
American
boy.
boy. I know a lot of people who say as soon as you turn 18, you're leaving. Get out of my house.
Yeah, it's very American too.
It's very American. But my child needs more
Guidance.
He needs way more guidance. 18, 19, I wish I had better parents to stay home with.
Wow.
I would have stayed. I left my house at 17. I wish.
By choice or not?
By choice. I got tired of my dad hitting me.
Right.
So I left.
How do you raise children in America where they have access to everything? As parents, of course, you want to give them more than you had growing up. But for us, for me and my husband, it's such a fine line because now there's no struggle. They don't have to work for much. When my kids got jobs, I said, you guys are paying for your own car insurance.
Yeah.
You're paying for your toll. I'm going to take it out of your bed. Because we wanted struggle, right? Because struggle builds character. Struggle brings you closer to God. But without struggle, there's no resilience. Without struggle, there's no grit.
Correct.
You don't know how to process and get through things when something does happen.
Yes. Because everything has been made so comfortable for you.
We let Hayden make his own decisions for the past about year, and he's now living in the natural repercussions of his own decisions. He doesn't enjoy them. So I think sometimes you have to let your child make their own decision, guide them, be there for them when they mess up. Don't degrade them. Right?
I would say, the world is here. It's not going anywhere. And I think it's important. That's why the worship service is important, because we talk about not having the time. If I have to go to church twice a week, that's not a bad thing. You need to be in a place where if you really know what the scripture says, God is honest. He's like, look, you're going to have some hard times.
Yes.
And he put the story in there about the prodigal son too. And don't think that we didn't share that with our teenager too. Like, listen, go do what you want to do. Trust me. But
when you come back,
When I always read that story, it was always just thinking about the son. But I never thought about the parents. And when you see that...
The parents of the prodigal son.
How they felt.
You could read this story like, yo, this kid is not nice. You want to take... I don't want to wait for you to die.
Take all your
Give
money.
me my inheritance so I can go to the club.
Yeah.
I need to go throw some dice. I need to go see some women. I need to go... And he lost in the world.
Yeah.
And if
him up.
If people are making a true decision to follow God and his son, Jesus Christ, and hear his word and take it in and apply it, you'll take this story and say, listen, as a parent, when he came back, his father had open arms. He ran to him.
Yes.
Put the finest clothes on him. Put
without
some jewelry
judgment.
on him. Do a party for him. And it's like, am I that type of parent? Because when my son was messing up, and again, this is and I'm going to keep it real with you. This is not a son from my body. This is my stepson.
Right.
He's my son for real now. But you have that like, listen, you don't have to stay here. You don't want to be here. You don't need to be here. But knowing that I'm following God and what he wants me to do, I'm like, Jesus had this parable for a reason. It wasn't just for the rebellious kids. It was for parenting to have some compassion and have some real love for them, because that's how the Father loves you.
Oof.
You are out there. You know the word. Yes, Rashad, you grew up in Methodist and you went to the Baptist church and you was non-denominational and you was spiritual and you went through all the things. But if you know this story and you know that I forgave you and you got baptized and you have a new life, you better give that same grace and mercy to your son and your daughter.
The Bible says, forgive 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times
7.
I'm like, just forgive.
Yes.
But it's just giving them that raw life too, because I was hard on Hayden, and look, I love you, Hayden. But I won't sit here and say I was the prodigal son's father. Yeah. I was like, no, go and fail. You want experience to be a teacher? Go ahead, and don't come back. But it was
that's also,
and I was like, don't do that.
That's also a worldly concept. Let experience be your teacher, right?
But that's not the case.
Experience it. Go mess up.
And that's what he said. He said, I want to make my own mistakes. I said, if you could not make a mistake, I would prefer that. Like, imagine.
Because some mistakes come with very detrimental consequences.
Prison comes with some consequences, and it carries. It's still affecting me now. I still have to still get my license back. I'm in the process still. So
your driver's license?
Yeah, they suspended my driver's license
years later.
Yeah, so it's a big It's affected me taking my daughter to activities or driving her to church or getting a job. It's affected my life for years now.
Yes.
And if I just listened
Right.
in the first place.
My dad used to always say, you don't need to taste poison to know it's poison.
You know? But the poison tasted so good.
It did.
The devil was like, put some cherries in that poison. Put some mangoes on
sugar.
there. You know, stir it all about. Put a lime on there, make a fruity top, and you're good to go. It tastes so good. Drink it.
Drink it.
You know?
But I think it goes back to that scripture to don't worry. You know, as much as I'm worried for Grace and Hayden to be exposed. Look, we were exposed to it.
Yes.
It is what it is. We're going to be in this world, but it comes back to that endurance. Are we going to endure to the end? And that's a part of the task. It's like, I don't have the book to know how to parent, you know, perfectly.
Yes.
But we're in the true church, and I'm just going to continue to try to raise them in the right way, and hopefully, just like the scripture says, train a child in the way that they should go, and they will not depart from it when they become older. And I just got to have that faith that that's going to be true.
Well, what if your kids say, look, Mom and Dad, you know, look, you guys did all sorts of crazy stuff, but you turned out fine.
I'm going to say I wasn't fine for a very long time. The world really hurt your mom. And more ways than just on this podcast that I don't care to mention or bring up again. And what I fear for my daughter might happen to her. I fear stuff like that happened to me might happen to her. So I'm going to keep her close to me. I'm going to be a deaconess. I'm going to show her my light. And hopefully that light and his light and God's light and her brother's light and her light, it'll keep us together. And that's all we can hope for, really, is that God is holding us in his hand, you know. He's not squeezing us. He's holding us. He's protecting us. So we just have to let God be God.
Let God be God.
Let God do his thing.
Yeah.
You kind of briefly touched on, you know, you said, Rashad, like, you know what? If people don't think I'm going to be weird, let them think I'm weird, because Christ also struggled, right? So you can't have a last name like Christmas and say we don't celebrate Christmas.
I can't be Merry Christmas.
You cannot be Merry Christmas. I mean, it's just
not celebrate.
It's so. How was that first Christmas like that you didn't celebrate Christmas? Merry Christmas.
I loved it because honestly, every Christmas, my parents had 6 children. I always felt so awful on Christmas. I'm like, they have to buy us all presents, 6 children, and we all have to get the same amount. I felt like it was a huge struggle and a huge burden on my parents, like financially. 6 kids, my mom's working, my dad's not. It's like, and you have to buy us all presents. And we never, ever talked about Jesus on Christmas. Never.
It was about the presents.
It's about the presents. We never talked about the manger and Jesus being born, or
which he wasn't even born on
you
Christmas
know
Day.
He wasn't. We don't know when he was born, and that's fine. You know that we don't know. I don't think we're supposed to know, because then we make holidays out of things. You know.
So it was a relief for you then.
Yeah.
Not having to celebrate Christmas.
I didn't really. I mean, I liked giving my kids presents, but they get presents all the time anyway.
Yes.
You know, we never talked. Even when me and Rashad celebrated, we never talked about Jesus on Christmas.
And maybe their present is your presence.
Yeah.
You know?
Right?
And it's just tradition, you know. And growing up with the last name Christmas, it was really, you know, my mom was always, you know, activist, and, you know, we were always marching for something. We're always trying to, you know, we didn't grow up with everything. And she didn't, our Christmases weren't like presents all over the place. It was just, you know, we did have church, you know, but at the same time, that first Christmas for me, it was, I wouldn't call it a relief. It was just like an understanding. And then it's now dealing with my family.
It's harder on the other people.
Not coming out and not celebrating with different things. But it's like, I just had to endure. I had to push through it. We had some hard conversations, you know.
No presents.
Because again, my whole thing with me is that, you know, my family sees me trying to be closer to God in so many different ways. And they see me go to a new church, and they see me do different things. Like in that other church, I was doing things that, you know, they weren't used to, and it made me look weird. I had the same thing, like I'm looking like an oddball, but that ended up being a cult. So now I have this.
So you were in a cult.
Yeah, that's what it was. But all those things that the church made me do, it was like I needed to be free from that, and then to come into a place where there's order in God, and I could just see this was just a plan of the devil, just to make things look so messy. So when you get to the truth, it's like you're the kid that cried wolf. It's like,
Oh, again.
There's no wolf
Another
coming.
one, yeah.
You always crying wolf,
Yeah,
Rashad.
yeah.
You always in a new church and all this other stuff. I'm not listening to you this time. And that's what I was dealing with at that time. Like, I got to tell them I can't come to Christmas. They're going to look at me, oh, you in another cult.
And I was just like, just tell them we ain't coming to Christmas. I
You
don't
know?
care.
And then that's another battle. Mary didn't grow up the way I did.
Yeah.
So it's just
you
like,
had two
it's
different
always
experiences with the
Yes.
holidays.
so many different challenges. But again, it goes back to, hey, you know what? I'm going to endure. I'm going to pray about this. I'm going to let it flow the way it's going to flow. But I'm trying not to be too hard on anybody. We're going to have these discussions. They're going to argue with me and talk about Kwanzaa. We're going to talk about different Easter and all this stuff.
Kwanzaa, right, is another holiday.
Another holiday. You know, we weren't always into it, but it's just like I had to step back and say, you know, me and my sister had a little argument about it. And I didn't want to disrespect the things that she wanted to do. And I was like, listen, this is just what I've learned. And I don't have no disrespect for our ancestors, because for me to be a dark-skinned black man in America and being as successful as I am and having the things that I have is only because of the people that paved the way here in America. I have to have patience and love for my family just to get a chance to open up the scriptures and say, this is the reason why I'm not doing Kwanzaa. And this is the reason why I'm not doing Christmas. It had nothing to do with you. I love you. We can still hang out. We can still do things together. But I just want to respectfully decline. And I want to respectfully sit down and really show you why it is. And I want to tell you, I'm not in the cult. But I don't want to be so defensive and try to defend myself all the time. But I need to make sure that I show love. So again, like, that light doesn't burn them. Like, I don't want to deter them from coming to the true church, because it took me almost a decade to get to this church. So it wasn't like just like that. So I'm not going to expect the same thing
From them.
From you. Yeah.
Aside from patience and understanding, what would your advice be to those who, just like you, who are now trying to explain to their families, like, look, this is my life now, this is my belief system?
I think it's still that patience and just inviting them to a Bible study or something, you know, and just praying for wisdom. You know, when you can see that Solomon asked for wisdom and that God will give it to you willingly, you know, God can help you with that. And we were having that conversation the other day. I just said, I'm just curious, when God sees somebody that's in the church and is crying out to them, and he just they want to be with him, and it's not in the true church, you know. I want to see. I'm curious as how God, you know, goes about that. You know, Mary was like, that's us. You know, He's going to use us. So it's one somebody in the church, and I'm like, it's very true. You know, it's very true. It just, you never know how God is going to reach somebody, but I got to make sure that I'm not out here beating people down, where I'm representing. I don't want people to not come to this church, because I can see the detractors. I can see things that, and I don't want to always talk about that too. And I think as, you know, members of the Church of Christ, we don't need to be so defensive, because remember the scriptures, everybody. Vengeance is the Lord's. So we don't have to. We don't have to
fight to. It's not our battle to fight.
And God adds to the church daily, you know. So if we can just invite, be as kind as you can, don't engage in that conversation, and just say, listen, you know, there's a lot more people in the church smarter than me, like our ministers. We have Bible studies almost every day. Invite them out and just keep inviting. Send them a little video or whatever the case may be, but just use your wisdom and know what that person is used to, so you can invite them in that way. Kite flying event, go to the beach, or we're having
Bowling
flag.
Be creative.
You know, we have flag football happening next week, or, you know, try to be a real person. You know, even coming here to this podcast and hearing the stories from the crew behind the cameras. You know, all these years of traveling and doing different you know, videos and different experiences for the people of this world, and showing what the Church of Christ is all about. That exists, and if people can see that part, because hearing the joy in the crews, you know, in their stories of reminiscing, of flying, remember we were over here, or remember this, and that's the experience that God wants for all of us, you know.
You know, your friend Bert never gave up on you. You know, he invited you for many years, never gave up on you. And so how do you deal with rejection when people say, no, Rashad, it's not for me?
I remember just that. Like, you know, Bert was constant, but he was constant with, he was a friend. He was a friend. And it's something I still got, I said it this year, I said, I want to be sincere this year. You know, my background is sales, So I could be very salesy
Yes,
at times, you know, and sometimes it doesn't come off authentic. And sometimes I'll start, you know, I'll be real, you know, I invited somebody to church maybe a month ago, and the first thing I talked about was Jesus wasn't God. It was the wrong approach. It was the wrong approach.
You're wrong.
You know what I mean?
You focus on the differences versus your commonalities.
Yeah, it's just like, listen, don't be so like, look, this is what I got wrong. Like, I can't believe this. It's just like, no.
Yeah.
Really, this person already loves God.
Yeah.
So the person is already trying to get closer to God.
Yeah.
Just invite them and let them read that word. Let them, you know, let's stop telling people they're wrong. Let's stop telling people you in the wrong church, you in the wrong place. And even though it's true, it's got to be a better way for us to reach people. And the way Bert reached me, he didn't tell me I was wrong. He said, yo, bro, just listen. Just come listen. Trust me. If you just listen. And I did. And the conversations that we had over the years were never arguments. And when I get rejected, I have to remind myself, because I'm not perfect. I got to kind of recalibrate, reset, show them love. I got to show love. I got to have that, you know, Rashad, like, hey, come on, let's chill. And this is also the Church of Christ. You know what I mean? That's
how you got married.
Yeah.
You didn't burn her with your light.
No, just let God do his thing.
And you know what's funny? When I started I wanted it to be the wrong church. I wanted to go back to partying. I wanted to go back because this took time and effort and work. And
you weren't ready for
I was ready, but my brain, my old self was still like, no.
Because that's what you were used to.
My body and my brain were like, this isn't what we're doing. We're supposed to go drinking. We're supposed to forget.
On that note, and I'm glad you brought that up, because there's a lot of people who are introduced to the church. They're like, you know, it's true. Yeah, Christ isn't God.
Oh, yeah, it's right there.
But it's the fear of change,
yes,
right?
Commitment.
That's holding them back. I don't want to change my life. I don't want to change my ways. So no thanks. Why shouldn't fear of change hold us back from the truth, from embracing the truth?
You're going to change no matter what, right? Every day we change. Something changes us every day. Why not change for the better? If you can grab something good, because God's the only thing that's good, you don't want to grab it, grab it and hold it. Hold it tight. Never let it go. Die with it. Clutch it. Take it with you to the grave. Be resurrected with it. Because I keep telling you, I keep getting goosebumps, and I do, because God makes me so happy, and I never thought I'd be able to say that. I never thought I would ever have God.
Maybe because you hadn't experienced happiness for so long.
I didn't know. So now when I talk about God and Jesus, I get the happiest. You know, my children and my husband, you know, come after that, which is the way it should be.
Yes.
The way it should be.
You mentioned detractors, you know, and you were in a cult. What do you say, though, when people are like, Rashad, I think you're in a cult?
I said, well, come and see. Come check it out.
So, yeah, people think we look weird. That's okay. We don't drink. People think we look weird. You know, we're at church twice a week. People think we look weird. And I'm like, yeah, I am weird, and I'm okay with it.
I'm going to share a really funny story. My neighbor, our kids went to kindergarten together. She's African-American. She looks like Halle Berry. Beautiful girl. So she lives right around the corner, right? And I would always say, Kim, come on, just come with me in church. She was like, girl, I grew up Baptist, you know, God is everywhere. You know, she had church hurt as well, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't need a church. God is with me, blah, blah, blah. Okay. She came to one Bible study at our house. So this went on for years, 4 to 5 years maybe. And one day she calls me up. She's like, hey, can I come to church with you? I'm what? Like tomorrow? She goes, yeah, tomorrow. I'm like, yeah. I said, so yeah, come with me. You know, so she comes, and the experience of being in a very solemn, because Baptist church is very loud, you know. She was like,
noisy.
Noisy. She tells a story of like when they collect offering, this one girl, she's carrying a bucket of chicken while she's like the basket for the offering.
My God.
You know, like crazy stories.
Dancing,
and yes, and she was like, she never left. But long story short, she finally told me months later. She goes, you know why I decided to go to your church? Because I knew I needed to go to a church. But every time we had parties, you and Jason were my only Christian friends who never drank. And I thought that was so profound, because we didn't like burn her with our light. You know, we just did it like we just made sure
She
we'll
saw
have
your
fun
light.
with you. Yeah, we had fun with her. You know, we just never touched a drink. And I didn't know that through the years she was watching that. You know, and so I think
Look at that.
your point exactly, right? You don't need to beat them over the head because you just let God be God.
She saw him.
Yes, and so you know she's in Clarksville, Tennessee, and she's still a member of the church.
Nice.
15, 17 years later.
Nice. That's good.
So we're gonna close this interview because we could talk forever.
Oh, yeah, we
and I
could.
think the crew's hungry.
Yes.
You know, I think you guys are the epitome of change. You are the epitome of what this podcast is about. And we're so, so grateful that you guys are able to tell your story. But has it ever crossed your mind how your life would be as a couple or as individuals if you had never found God and you had never made the change in being part of the Iglesia de Cristo?
I don't think we'd be together.
Nope.
I don't think we would be together.
So true.
If God did not intervene, I would probably live in Pennsylvania right now with Grace and my son, and he would probably have to visit on the weekends. Or we would be in a heated custody battle.
Yeah, we'd be in court right now. We'll be fighting over custody.
Or I would be in Maui with my daughter. But either way, I'm just saying, like, without God coming to show us that there is a different way to process our lives, without him swooping in,
No, it's
you
true.
would have been with somebody else.
Yeah, I think I would have, I think it's true. It's like not just the relationship part, but my whole life would have just been a rerun.
I probably
It's
would have
just-
kept drinking.
It's nothing new under the sun, and you could see
Could have
these
been
cycles.
just church hopping still.
Yeah, I would have had what next even bigger on my wall. And I think I had that on my wall because I was so inconsistent with the Father. I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I just know I would still be out there trying to be morally right and nice to everybody. But if I go home, I'm probably going to have a bunch of different women I'm dating. I'm going to try to hide it from my daughter and try to present like I was okay and I didn't do anything to her mom. And I would have to deal with the hurt that I would, put on top of Hayden, my son, because he already, experienced his biological dad leaving. And now this guy that's been around for so long has left, and he would just be a mess of a man to any woman. It's this chain reaction and domino reaction that would have been so catastrophic if we're not here inside of the Church of Christ and not have this change. So to answer your question, if this wasn't going on, we would be in so much turmoil and thinking that we're okay. And the fight would be just disastrous.
It'd be infinite.
And
It'd
it'd
still be
forever.
bleeding, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just putting bandages
Yeah.
over the wounds, hoping the bandages would help.
But if you don't truly surrender, everybody's not really surrendering. And that's why your friend was experiencing those things where, I experienced the same thing. All of my Christian friends are still in the club or trying to cheat on their spouse or trying to do different things. And it's like, but I still love God. Like, God knows my heart.
And I'm like, why would you want to depend on your heart? God says the heart is wicked.
Deceitful.
But again, we know these
lying
things.
to you.
But they don't know. Or they've read it and didn't really let it attach to them. And
Or
I
their
can't judge
pastor
them.
told them it meant something
Yeah, I
else.
can't attack them or judge them about that. It just comes down to that full surrender. If you think of a cop with a gun in front of your face, your hands are up. You can have everything.
Yeah.
A robber in front of you, give me your wallet. You could take it all. But if we throw that in the love sense, like, look, take it all. I don't want this no more. I really want to see what you created me. What do you have for me? I'm not going to intervene anymore. I'm not going to intervene and put my own goals in front of what you said. If you truly said in the scripture, I have plans for you to prosper, what does that look like? If I have, what is a good
Plans
relationship?
not to hurt you, but plans for a bright future.
And if you want the best, you should worship God.
Worship God.
Let 'em put it
Worship God
together.
opens doors.
That's my
All the
biggest thing.
doors.
If I could say anything to anyone is I truly always wanted to experience what God really has for me without me. I'm always putting my 2 cents in.
Let him change you.
Yeah.
Let him change it.
Let him work in you.
Yeah.
It's better than what you could ever do. Better than what I could ever do.
But it sounds like you both have just given up trying to control your lives.
Yep.
But for a lot of people, giving up control is so frightening.
Yeah.
It is. It's like letting go of the wheel at 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But do you trust God?
What was the
Do
campaign?
you trust him?
We had that campaign here in the church maybe 2 years ago to fully trust.
Rely on, believe, and trust in
rely.
what God can do.
That statement, man, like to fully rely on what God can do and trust him. If you truly believe him, it's the same statement. Try this thing out. Try it out. But the only way to try it out is to let go of what you're used to doing.
Yeah.
You got to let God really do his thing.
And it is scary to let go. But once you let go and you don't have control over things, you feel better because you know God's going to swoop in. He's going to make maybe the feeling that you're having not so intense, not so angry. You don't need to be so boastful.
Do you think it lessens your anxiety as well?
Absolutely.
Everyone's so anxious nowadays.
My therapist wanted me to go on anxiety medication. And I was like, I have a history of addiction in my family. I don't really want to do that. I don't want to take pills. Like I don't even like Tylenol. I'm solely relying on prayer.
Yeah.
And some of my prayers might be like, oh, please help me. I really need help right now. I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know how to feel. I don't know why I feel this way. But if you could not take the feeling away, get me through
it.
the feeling. It's not take it away. Because how am I going to process it next time? Don't take it. Walk me through it.
We live in a society, though, where it's always about pain relief.
Yep.
Right? Everybody just wants to numb the pain. Just relieve me of the pain. But you're saying that you need the pain.
Need it.
Why?
You need it to learn. How are you ever going to learn to get back up if you've never fallen down and you think life's a picnic? What happens when the picnic stops and the rain starts? You don't know to grab your umbrella? You don't know to run to the car? You don't know what's going on?
You don't know how to
need it.
react.
It's big.
You know, and God's there to guide you, like, oh, maybe stand under here. Maybe go over there. Maybe do this instead. Maybe have something in your car next time if you come out on a rainy day. You know, he starts to prep you. You start to prep yourself more. Like, I'm going to church today. I need to prep my clothes. I need to prep my diet. He's there. He's reminding you. Little taps.
Taps, yeah.
Little-
Whispers.
Yeah, you know. And I know it's not like him personally, but it's the Holy Spirit's here to guide us, to help us.
And use people
And
sometimes.
use people sometimes to nudge you to where you need to be.
So at the end of our interviews, we normally do like a rapid fire.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so just answer whatever first comes to mind. Okay, who is the best cook between the two of you?
Me.
Agree?
I think we a little equal with it. I'll give us some comp.
I thought we weren't going back to our old ways, sir.
Listen, I'm just keeping it real.
We should ask the children, but they're not here.
Okay.
It's me. I'll bring you some fresh banana bread next time. Or
Mary's nice.
Thank you.
She's nice with it.
or my sweet potato
I'm nice
bread.
with it too. I'll just say, but you know, competition. You asked the
Okay,
question.
next one. Who is always on time?
Me.
Yeah?
He's made me late. It makes me so angry. I'm never 15
not-
minutes
not
early
super
anymore.
That's super late. I'm on time now.
He's
Okay.
on the dot on time.
But she's better with time.
Rashad is my.
Rock.
Mary is my.
Biggest support.
Love you.
Yeah. It's real because, you know, it's hard to see the support because the only thing I held on for the longest was her anger towards me. Once the anger went away, but before the anger came, we were good before I did all of my nonsense. And to see, remember that statement I used to say to people was like, if I can close my eyes and be treated the way this woman is treating me, I would choose her every time. And that treatment came from the love and relationship that we started off with. And this is what I told her last week. Like, and she was like, I don't want to go back to what we used to. I'm like, no, not go back to the
Let's not go back there.
not to the wildlife, but just to that companionship where it was like, wow, let me know about you. Like, what is your life? We still can put our devices down and have some FaceTime, and you know, those are the things that we need to, you know, start to change right now. You know, we still have work to do, folks. It's not.
Yeah, we are
we're
not
doing
perfect.
this. We're not doing this podcast because we made it.
We need some more changes.
We're still making
okay?
changes.
If you're thinking about getting married, here's something that's worth watching on incmedia.org. There's an episode of The Message called Why God's Guidance in Marriage is Important. It talks about building your relationship with God as the foundation and why letting Him guide you in your relationship matters so much, especially when things get tough. If you want solid advice before getting married, you don't want to miss this episode of The Message. Again, it's called Why God's Guidance in Marriage is Important, and you can watch it now on einstemedia.org.
Why is work in progress so important? Why is it important to keep working on each other, on ourselves?
Well, because the scripture is real. It says to endure to the end. He's not going to tell us to endure to the end if there wasn't nothing to endure.
You know?
It's not going to be easy.
It's just trying to prepare yourself to stay with God through the troubles. Like, no matter what happens, He's the go-to first, and then whatever happens after is meant to be, and then dealing with it. It's just, it's a commitment.
Because remember, we have an enemy out there, and he's doing so much work to make you think you do not need the church. And the confusion about what the church is, you'll hear statements like, I don't need 4 walls, because people think the church is 4 walls. Church is the body of Christ, and He's the head of it. And it's just time to take a beat and listen to the word that you think you know so well. You've heard it on the pulpit. You've read it yourself. I have friends and family that say, I read the Bible front to back. They still live in a life that doesn't dictate what the Bible has taught. So the devil knows the Bible front and back. The demons know the Bible front and back.
They know God.
But if you really have that connection with the Father, the church, and knowing what the church is, it's what you need. But you need to know what it is.
I'd say the church is ready to meet you, to welcome you, to support you, to give you some ube delicious desserts. But it's ready. It's ready. It's open. It's willing. It's able. Our church is flourishing. New houses of worship coming up all the time means more places for you to go. When you're on vacation, you need to go to the house of worship. Maybe you feel like praying. There's one there for you. God's there. He's waiting.
I forgot to ask this earlier, but is it like when people tell you, do you join the Filipino church, Rashad? Mary,
no,
you're the only white person there, or you're with a bunch of Filipinos. No. Like, what do you say to that?
We say the church is multicultural. It is a multicultural church.
Well, you got to come. You
have to see.
Like when I came to this one Bible mission, and they showed the video, and it was the work, the aid of humanity in Africa. And I saw what was happening, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, I grew up with Filipinos, so I'm not. It's nothing to me, but I'm like, Dad, how am I going to get people here? Because people used to looking at people that look like them to be a part of something, especially right now. Right now in the temperature of the world, everybody is separating themselves. Blacks want to be with all blacks, whites want to be with white. Everybody wants to be in their own section.
Segregation.
And that's just, the definition of the devil is division. But we're not paying attention.
One of the life-changing assignments we've had was in 2009, we went to South Africa to do one of the first stories ever done from the church. And we did stories of brethren from Kwakwa, from King Williamstown, where South Africa then isn't the South Africa we see now. There was one, they weren't even a district then, And I remember thinking, we're sitting in the King Williamstown House of Worship, all South Africans in there. The only Filipino was the minister, and maybe like a handful of the officers. And I remember sitting there, and these people have never seen the church outside of King Williamstown. There were no other chapels back then. I remember thinking at the time, I wonder if Brother Felix Manalo ever thought that the church would reach South Africa. Because it was so amazing to sit there, to have the same beliefs as these brethren who have never seen the church outside of what they know.
And they know different cultures.
Yes.
They believe in the dead walking around.
Yes. And same in Mexico. You ask them about the messenger. Oh, they tell you how the messenger affected them and how they joined the church. And I'm thinking, how powerful is that? Right?
160 plus countries. Like that's one thing that broke me. I'm like, okay, I know we have a fight and a hurdle to get over here in America because everybody is like, want to sit next to somebody that looks like me.
You're very
yes.
opinionated.
And I'm like, listen,
God
but
doesn't care about
to
what we
see
look like.
all of the, when we have these video streamings
Yes.
and, they're dedicating a house of worship in a different country and they're listing all of the new chapels open in different countries. It's just like, we're everywhere. And this is what God wanted.
All people.
When you heard the lessons on prophecy and time and place, the war, Far East, islands of the sea, how did it feel to know wow, God chose the Filipinos. God chose the Philippines as tiny islands.
I love it.
Because
it goes against the world with their white people supremacy. A messenger is a brown person from a third world country. What? And God says he chooses the least of all people.
Yes.
He didn't choose the biggest, the baddest, the strongest, the wealthiest.
David, right? David was the runt of his siblings.
It's all
Yeah.
in the Bible.
So, that has to account for something to reach something from a third world country with not, say, the access that America would have to
Yes.
things and then spread to the whole world.
We're the only Christian religion that started from the East and went to the West, right? Everyone goes from the West and they missionize the poor people in
because we're
third
in
world
charge,
countries.
right?
Yes.
We're in charge over here. So
Yes.
that was impressive to me when I read it. That was one of my favorite things about the prophecy about Brother Felix Waimanalo. I love that. I loved his movie.
I was able to connect with Brother Felix because I went to the Methodist.
Yes.
I went to the
Like Brother
Pentecostal.
Felix, right?
I was like,
Seventh-day
man, I was doing
Adventist,
all of that. I said, oh, bro, I can see
Same
you.
faith walk, right?
At first, I'm like, oh, no.
You
know what
were
I mean?
just as much of a seeker as he was.
And
And I'm
God
sure-
didn't label him a Filipino.
No.
He didn't label him a brown-skinned man. He said, the man that executes
My
my
counsel.
counsel. God has no form. So for us to be focused on something so petty is so strange to me.
But that's
Because
the
we're not
world.
even going to have
That's
this.
the world.
We're not even going to have this
Yeah.
in heaven.
Yeah.
We're not going to have these bodies.
Yeah.
It's not going to matter whether we came from the Philippines, we're brown, white, or have a disability or not. It's not. It doesn't matter.
I think Brother Felix Manalo has, to me, the best underdog story, right? Second grade education level, didn't have all the PhDs, doctorates in theology and all this stuff, right? But look at the church now from one man.
You can't refute that.
Yeah.
You can't refute that God did his thing
Yeah.
with the last messenger.
He said he would.
And it just comes down to it. It's like, give yourself the opportunity to hear what's going on, but see where your life can go once you accept. The goal is to get to the holy city. I'm sure if Brother Felix was here today, he would tell everybody, forget about me. Just hear what God put in place. Know that this is the true church. He said there's going to be rumors of wars. This thing got registered on the day that happened. I can't make this up.
Yeah.
Can't make it up.
There was no
and
internet.
been written.
There was no internet. There was no
no
blog.
internet.
You know the
Day.
story too is he put in the paperwork before.
Yeah.
But the stamp, the registration ended up being on July 27th. It's not like he went in there. I remember, asking.
Don't get me started on that because the retractors say things about that too.
Yes,
I'm like, well,
yes.
registration takes time.
Yes.
And they're like, well, Felix is the founder of the church. I said, just because Google says it.
Yes.
Google can be wrong.
Wikipedia, yes.
I'm
yes,
like, and then,
yes.
but if you go on our website, it says Jesus Christ founded the
Is
church.
the founder,
So maybe we
yes.
should go on the
Yes.
INC meetings.
Yes. But that's the thing. There's no coincidences, right?
Yeah.
Only God's will. All right, that was supposed to be rapid fire, but
Sorry.
I went off to another question.
We are chatting.
Okay, last is, change is what to you? Rashad?
Inevitable. Change is inevitable. I'm sorry, I took your spot.
No, go ahead.
Change is inevitable. We change every day. You might as well change for the good. You might as well change for the better. You want things to get worse? Nobody wants that. So you might as well just change for the good. Do it today. Today, right now.
All right, Rashad, changes.
It's absolutely inevitable, but definitely needed. Change is needed just because we believe so many different things. And again, I'm so grateful that we have the truth. The truth is here, and true change is not going to come until you let go of your ego, let go of your pride. A lot of people don't want to be wrong. It's something that I always dealt with. Like I couldn't imagine that I was ever wrong. I can't believe I'm wrong. No, I was wrong. And it's okay to be wrong because that's where change can really come in. You let go of the things that you think are solidly, which is opinion. That's a fact. Your opinion is not fact. Know that it's opinion, recognize it, and open that door to allow yourself to change and really get that truth. Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you both.
Pleasure being asked questions.
And you guys are just like, you're dropping sound bites left and right. And this is going to be so fun to edit. But truly, I just want to thank you both, because I really believe that your stories together as individuals and as a couple will truly help so many couples, so many families, and just so many people who are lost. And thank you for bringing so much light into the Making Changes podcast, but also the light in people's lives all over the world that you may never get to meet,
Thank you.
but will be lives that will be touched because of your courage and bravery to share how God has worked in your life. So thank you, and blessings to you guys.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
You know what strikes me most about Mary and Rashad's story? It's that God didn't wait for them to clean up their act first. He met them right in the middle of their mess and showed them the way out. And it wasn't some overnight miracle. It was messy. It was work. And it was choosing God even when their hearts could have chosen an easier way out. But through all of that messiness, their story shows us what's possible when we let go of the brokenness and surrender completely to God. But through all of that mess, their story shows us what's possible when we let go of the brokenness and surrender completely to God. If Mary and Rashad's story resonated with you, or if you know someone who's been trying to control their own story instead of letting God write it, share these 2 episodes. Sometimes we need to hear that surrender isn't about giving up. It's about finally letting go. Don't forget to subscribe to Making Changes wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, you can keep fighting God's plan, or you can trust that His version is better than anything you could write yourself. Thanks for listening, and may your change uplift you.